Hey, 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 hey. Welcome to SRP, live from Dallas. Welcome to my hood, everybody. Welcome to my hood. I know those of you who've never seen me before, like, that's not Sean or Lacey. Although I kind of look like I could be their child.
Yeah, maybe.
A little bit. I'm a little eclectic
I'm going
looking.
with Lacey's sister for me.
Oh, thank you. I am Tamika Taylor. I live here. I'm a BDC member, live here in Dallas, Fort Worth. So I'm super excited that you are here in my hood.
I'm Rhonda Vaughn. I am a BDC member and a BYS mentor as well. So I'm excited to be here too. And you guys were not expecting us, and we're waiting on Sean and Lacey.
They're coming.
They are coming. We will not be here the whole time.
Fair.
A little bit of plane delay, flight delays, and they're on their way here.
So they will be here probably, in the next 15-ish minutes? Because it's not far. We do have an audience. I know that I am one of the guest speakers today, but I do not know what I am going to be talking about. So to start us off, it's sales, revenue, and profit. Does anybody have any questions before we get started?
No, they're not going to have. You were raising your hand so excited, and now nothing. And
okay, you're here. You're ready. What are you most excited for? Okay, well, that is the most vague.
Is this
thing
your first
I've ever
event?
heard in my entire life.
First event? Have you been here before?
Okay, good.
So okay, that was Miami. So Tamika, your first one was.
Yeah, my first one was this one last year in Austin. That's where we first met.
Yep.
We shared a stage together in.
Oh, that was in marketing.
No.
Money
in Indianapolis.
Yes.
Where we got to talk about, kind of overcoming your fears and
it was amazing.
Who you talk to and how you talk to individuals.
You slept through us on stage. It was VIP day. They put me on the hot seat. I got on the stage, had to talk in front of everybody. And I got real robot-y, and Tamika jumps up on stage and saves me. It was amazing. Mm-hmm. So my first one was actually 3 years ago in Asheville at this exact seminar, I think, or marketing. Yeah.
Okay, so what was your biggest take?
Oh, thank God they're here.
What's up, homies?
Right off the plane, was the luggage found?
Luggage is found. The day is saved. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Hi.
What are we talking about?
We don't know. We don't know what we're talking about.
Sure. Oh wait, this
But be careful, they
side.
move. They move. So it's shocking every time.
Yeah, we need one more chair for Tamika.
Okay, I'll sit there.
What do we got going on? Where are we at?
So Rhonda and I were talking about all of the ways that we've met and had the chance to be on stage, and we just started talking about our first BDC events. So hers was SRP 3 years ago. Mine was last year. And that's where we're at.
Oh, well, all right.
Yeah,
welcome to Sean and Lacey Live. Happy Wednesday, everybody. What kind of announcements do we have? Pat, can you get me a computer? Sean knows where it's at, so I know what's going on. What do we have for announcements, James?
We have an announcement for our new Crew 52 spotlight of this week. And it goes to Alon Schreier. Check it out on the screen right there. Alon.
Woo!
That's what we got. So we're going to be spotlighting Alon this week, blasting all over social media, promoting him, his business, all the great things that he's doing.
That's our only announcement. We have one announcement this week.
No.
I feel like we're not.
You're doing great.
Yeah,
You're doing so good. Keep going.
Keep at it, James.
Tonight's sponsor is Cram Nutrition. Cram Nutrition. Make some noise if you've had Cram before.
Woo! Okay. I got to give a shout out So the cram, honestly, so one of the things that we do in Well Infused is that instead of giving people after they take blood and we take a bunch of blood from them, instead of giving them juice or cookies, we give them cram nutrition because why not, right? I cannot tell you, I found somebody in my staff's kitchen. And he was digging through the freezer trying to find a cram because he couldn't find me. I'm like, these people are addicts. Yeah. So I get all of these people addicted to cram nutrition after they give blood. So shout out to cram. Yep.
See, there you are.
Okay, what else do we got, James?
That's it. That's what we got.
That's all we got. All right. All right. So,
Hey, friend.
hi. So
How
good
are
to
you?
have you here. So does anybody know what Tamika does? This is really good for sales. So give everybody a little synopsis about what it is that you do. And then let's talk about how that applies to people's ability to actually sell since we're at sales, revenue, and profit.
Ooh, good question. Okay, so I'm a mindset and leadership consultant. I studied social psychology, so basically how we interact and how it affects our brains. And then I have a master's degree in leadership. So it's a fancy way of saying I study individuals. Basically, and it's a fun kind of party trick, and I don't typically do it, but within 5 minutes of meeting you, I can figure out all of your limiting beliefs, the ways that you are keeping yourself small, because I study personalities and I study individuals. And so what I
She's
do,
doing it right now.
I'm
by
doing
the way,
it right
just so
now.
everybody in the audience knows.
Yeah.
Yeah.
you want to be a test subject. And so it's fun and very uncomfortable, but what I do is I bring to surface the things that don't work for you, but also I bring to surface, I'm kind of like an excavator is the best way to put it. I help find the version of you that you buried deep down inside because it made you feel so uncomfortable when you were little, and I help find that version of you because that version of you is the most powerful version of you. So when I go into people's businesses, I first find their unique strengths, goals, aspirations, and most importantly, their joy. And when I can find that, I can harness that and I can bring lots and lots of money to your life. And I do that with individuals and I do that with teams as well.
And this is so interesting. I thought it would be so fun to have Tamika on because diving into a lot of the sales content that we're going to be teaching over the next couple of days, what I realize is there's tons and tons of books out there on how, as a salesperson, I can read the other individual to sell to them better, right? And so you guys probably read books like that where you have to understand the human psyche of the person in front of you to be able to speak their language. They talk about mirroring, talking to them in the way that they want to be, heard, listening to them, understanding what their needs and desires are. But what I realize is there's not enough books on there about you as a salesperson. And I think that that's really an interesting thing for us to consider because there is stuff on sales mindset, but in reality, if you have your own limiting beliefs about the individual in front of you, about how people perceive your product, about how people perceive what you do, and you have those limitations, you can easily project them unnecessarily on others. And so what I think is really interesting about what you do is by helping other people uncover some of their own limiting beliefs, I actually think it could help you become a better salesperson. Do you guys agree with that?
So what's really cool, and one of the things that I say all the time from the stage is that we are just gigantic meat sacks with emotions. And if you can understand that you are an emotional being having an emotional interaction with somebody, because every time we have a sales conversation, it's laced with emotions. Even if you're an individual who thinks that emotions don't matter and that you can mask them, you are an emotional being having an emotional conversation. And so the more that you can understand your own emotions, the more you can understand the grace for yourself, and then you give grace to others. I heard so many times coming up in my career, don't judge somebody's pocketbook, right? Easier said than done if you grew up poor. Easier said than done if you have so many negative emotions around money. But what I found is that when I healed my own emotions around money and I heal the emotions around money for other people, they're able to have conversations and high-level conversations because that limiting belief has been healed and they've given themselves grace for whatever has happened in the past.
Okay, who wants to ask a question? Not everybody all at once.
I will not call you out on your limiting beliefs from the stage. I don't ever do that.
Then I'm going to ask a
Okay,
question.
okay.
Okay, because that is one thing that I've always said as well, is like you have to keep your hands out of your clients' pocketbooks. Because the reality of it, again, is we're passing judgment on something that we don't know enough about, right? And I think that a lot of people, when it comes to sales, we make a quick decision on whether or not somebody is going to pay for our service. How many of you have done this before? Yes, like how many of you have done it way more times than you should have? And even though you feel like I learned my lesson this time, you're like, oh, I shouldn't have judged that individual. I'm never going to do that again. Inevitably, like it happens again, right? Because we pass judgment on people's ability to pay. When in reality, do we all agree that people will pay for what they value? They will find a way to pay for what they value, right? And so, again, helping people heal from kind of their own limitations, like how do we even begin the self-reflection component of it to recognize that that's coming from something that some sort of trauma or something that we're holding on to versus it's just a judgment?
Ooh, that's a good question. Okay, so self-awareness is key always. If you want to be successful, you have to be self-aware. And the worst part about that is being self-aware is like being ripped open and exposing yourself to the world, when in actuality you're just trying to expose yourself to yourself. One of the strongest activities that I've ever done when it comes to money and sales and that limiting belief. So your limiting beliefs live in your subconscious. Does everybody know where your subconscious is? I got a lot of doctors, so you kind of understand it, right? Your subconscious lives in the back of your head, and its main job is to keep you safe. And so it tells you all of the things you've ever told it. And most people are like, well, my dad was mean to me and he said this. Well, it's not because your dad was mean to you. It's because you repeated what your dad said to you and you had it over and over and over in the back of your mind. Your subconscious keeps repeating that stuff over and over and over again to keep you safe. When it comes to money and sales, to get over that lump, you have to sit in the space of, okay, I call it the $10 million activity. If you had a $10 million offer and you were going to present it to somebody, you find a nice table and you have a sheet of paper and you're like, okay, you need to give me $10 million for this chiropractic adjustment, and you wait and you listen to everything your brain starts telling you. You're not strong enough. You're not competent enough. Why would anybody do that? Where are we going? Why would you think that? So you start writing it down. One of the most powerful things you can do is journal consistently. Write it down and write down all of those thoughts that you're terrified to write down because you don't want anybody else to ever see it. Anybody here have their journal picked when you were little and your sister or your mom and everybody saw it and you felt exposed? That's what it feels like when you write down your subconscious thoughts. But you have to start by writing them down. What is your subconscious telling you? And then the worst part about it is that you have to write down where it came from. You have to sit in the space of, where did I hear this first? Because unfortunately, majority of the thoughts that we have came from somebody else, somewhere between the ages of 6 and 10. And it does not, so hear me in the space too. You either heard it, it was said to you, or you observed it. Oftentimes, the things that happen inside of the back of our head that is money related is generational. It's a generational trauma that is carried over and over and over again. So you may say, well, I heard my grandma say this, but your grandma heard her mom and her mom and her mom say it. It's important to understand where the thoughts came from, because you have to understand that that thought is not yours. When you find that it's not yours, you can eliminate it a lot easier.
Two things I think are super important. And I always say that, like, your subconscious is like a library. And at any time you can pull out one of the stories that you've been told or one of the stories that were written on your behalf. And so I always ask myself, like, whose voice is that?
Mm-hmm.
Whose voice am I hearing? Because oftentimes it's not mine. But you know what lives very deeply in the subconscious mind is ego.
Mm-hmm.
And So subconscious mind is designed to keep us safe, but ego's job is to keep us separated. And I actually think that ego drives so much of your subconscious mind. And when I say ego's job is to keep us separated from what's rightfully yours, your destiny, your ability to help people, your ability to serve more people, your ability to sell without judgment, your ability to ask for the value that you want, right? Ego's job is to keep you scared and separated. And so you also have to assess, is this happening to me because I'm supposed to be separated? Okay, but we have a question.
'Kay.
We have a question from the chat. Phil says, how do you manage your money mindset when things seem to be stacking up against you?
Ooh, that's a good question. That's the perfect time to manage your money mindset, because that is when your subconscious and your brain is telling you all the things that will go wrong. Oftentimes people, you hear people say like, in the hard times you learn and in the good times you thrive. But I tell people all the time to celebrate the hard times and celebrate the failures, because that's when everything, it's a gigantic magnifying glass of everything that has ever gone wrong in your life, and that's when you can start to defeat your demons. You don't actually defeat your demons at the top, you defeat it on the way. And so Phil, if you're feeling like everything is stacking up against you, unfortunately and fortunately, you're being taught lessons over and over and over again that you have ignored repeatedly in the past. And so one of the things you can do, and what I recommend specifically to my clients, I say, what lesson have you been blocking over and over and over again? What hard truth are you missing over and over and over again? And when they all show up at the exact same time, it sucks while you're going through it, but it is one of the most magical, powerful, transformative times. And if you can say, hey, this hard thing is teaching me something, what can I learn? Then you can figure it out, as opposed to sitting in the space of, why is this happening to me? What is wrong with me? Why is the world falling? When you can get into the space of like, what am I supposed to learn? Your brain and you and the people around you in the universe and whatever you believe in will conspire with you to figure it out.
Phil says he likes that. He feels like he's a slow learner. So we're going to speed up that process.
Speed up that's what's happening. It's stacking up.
One of the things that I love that you said was also like celebrating the losses. And I think that not enough of us do that. In fact, one of the things that I love that Dave Meltzer does is he actually bonuses his team for the people that take the biggest risks and gets the most no's. So oftentimes he's encouraging them to go out there and lose, like not win. How many no's can you get? How many people can tell you that's not going to work for me? How many like times can you get denied? How many times can somebody tell you that's a stupid idea? Because every no that you get, every bad idea that you have essentially leads you to that next one that could be the most successful thing in your life and change your trajectory. So sometimes too, it may not be a lesson that you're just having to learn, but also sometimes you just need to reinforce that it's okay to lose. It's okay to fail. In fact, oftentimes it's all of the failing that's necessary to allow us to win. So how do we celebrate that a little bit more, right?
Yeah. Do you want me to go on that? Because celebration's my favorite thing on the planet.
Celebrate.
When like anybody around me, friends, family, when something happens and it's bad and it's hard, like you will find people in your life that will commiserate with you, right? You can find somebody today and be like, oh, this happened to me. And they're like, oh yeah, that sucks. And this happened to me. And this happened to me. And this happened to me. Like negativity spirals are really attractive.
How many of you know people right now that you could go talk to and they can be negative with you, right?
Yeah.
They could go down the rabbit hole. Yeah.
People hate me because I'm like, okay, cool. What next? When my people get haters, I'm like, holla, let's glitter cannons, enjoy. Like one of the things that you have to reframe is that failure is a really, really good thing. And so you have to find what brings you joy, and you have to bring that joy into failure moments. The fear of failure, often it's generational because it's based around a fear of performance. Like I have to perform in order to be loved. And if I fail, I'm not worthy of love. When in fact, if you fail, you've learned a lesson to make you better, which makes you even more apt to love.
Ooh, and if you can actually forgive yourself and move through it with grace, now you've got self-love. self-love creates self-worth, and it can make you do bigger and better things.
Bigger and better things. It's a multiplier.
It's a multiplier.
It
It's
is
an
the-
amplifier.
It is. It's the
Yeah.
highest level of abundance that you can be. I tell people all the time, I'm like, I love me. You know why I love me? Because, bitch, I'm awesome. Excuse my French. I don't know if we're allowed to swear on here. I don't
We
know.
just got canceled on
But
YouTube.
sorry.
Cool.
Sorry. But I am. And because I celebrate myself, the people around me celebrate me too. So just imagine what can happen in your life if you celebrate it. And you publicly, I tell people all the time, you know what? Listen, I tried this and it failed miserably, but here's what I learned. Because most people will tell you their failures in a form of pity, but they won't tell you what they learned. Tell people what you learned, because as we've all said over and over again, like, your success and your failures can be a story and pay the tax for somebody else to not have to live that as well.
Ooh. I get no bombs tonight. Like, I came in off the plane. I'm trying to drop bombs over here. Like, James is like, we ain't got no announcements. I mean, I'm just losing out. No. Any questions for Tamika from the audience? No? Anyone?
Yes, homie.
All right. I'm going to go over here for Chris.
So what do you do to get rid of all that generational BS?
Ooh, that's a loaded question. We should bomb that question.
How much time do we have?
How much time? Yeah, right. Like, do you want to be here for the next 3 days? So generational.
We are here for the
we
next
are
3
3
days.
We can talk about it at
Yes, you
lunch,
do.
breakfast, dinner. It's one of my favorite things to talk about. So generational trauma is a very interesting and terrible, wonderful, awful thing to talk about. And for those of you that are like, what's generational trauma? It's basically the ways in which your ancestors could not set boundaries, did not protect you and generations over and over and over again. And I actually started studying generational trauma 2 years ago when I made the decision to reconnect with my dad. And then I realized, like, a lot of my money issues was, like slave issues, right? Like, we were never allowed to have money and all of these different things. And it carried over generation after generation after generation. And I've been able to, like, plow through it. Step one, I think it's the hardest part about going through generational trauma, is getting your family to tell you the stories. It's asking the hard questions about what life actually was like and what they actually went through. Because most generations who have never been through personal development, who've never owned businesses, who've never had to do the hard work, they just swept it under the rug.
Well, and I think this is important.
Yeah.
So my father was actually born in 1927 and lived through the Great Depression.
Yeah.
And so for a long time when I would ask him these questions, I thought that it was because he was proud that he didn't want to talk about them, but it was I mistaked him being proud for protection. So oftentimes generational traumas, your family won't talk to you about it because they think it's a way to protect you, when in reality, it disallows you to be able to uncover it, to work through it, right?
Amen.
Yeah.
So you have to be in the sense, and it's ridiculous, right? Because we're all adults. We're like, I'm a grown person. And you have to talk to the generations that still exist and say, I am grown and I can handle it. And that's a good point. That's one of the things I had to say to my dad. I'm like, I am a grown adult. You
don't have to protect me.
You don't have to protect me.
Yeah.
I need to know. And when it comes to generational trauma, it's knowledge is power. Because as soon as you hear it, you feel it, and you understand it. I can't figure out anyone's generational trauma for them, but when you have the conversation with your parent or your grandparent, or your parent relays a grandparent or an aunt or things like that, you will hear it and you will know. That's kind of this, it all goes along with understanding your own self-worth and understanding your body and understanding emotional response, because you will feel it and you will know.
Well, it's like that whole root cause thing. So many of us here are healthcare professionals, and we understand that when you actually get to the root cause of something, then you actually understand why things are happening and you can have resolution. If you don't understand why you think a certain way, why you have a certain limiting belief that you can't shake and let go of, oftentimes it's because you don't understand the root cause. And if you can figure that out, then we can begin to release those generational bonds and ties that we didn't even know existed, that are inhibiting us to actually have that breakthrough. So important.
And one of the things too, as healthcare professionals, if you have not read the book, The Body Keeps Score, it's by psychologists and doctors, and it talks about where your body is harboring emotions. And so if you read that and then have those conversations, you will figure out exactly what the root cause is because you will feel it and know it exactly where it is in your body. The Body Keeps Score is one of my favorite books. I use it on people all the time because when I ask them a really uncomfortable question, I can see on their body the way that you all can see a subluxation from a mile away. I can see where emotions harboring inside of their body and what it's doing to them. Majority of the people have low back problems, partially because of what we do for a living, but partially because they're terrified of stepping forward and outside of where their generations have been before. If you make more money than anybody else in your entire family has, I bet you $1 million you have low back problem. Not even problems, low back pains when you make really big decisions, because that is your body stopping you from taking the next step that's outside of your generations.
Terry says generational ignorance is at an all-time high.
Oof.
Ooh, and your family's watching, and Calvin says, I wish mommy would talk about us.
Oh,
just say hi. Hi,
Calvin
Calvin.
Taylor. No pressure. Calvin
No
and Frankie
pressure.
Taylor. They're sweet babies.
The same things and feelings come into play when you have heard your parents upset with your bosses and you don't want to be that person, which keeps you from leading because you're afraid of that. That's a really good point, right? So a lot of times too, you don't step into the leader that you're supposed to be when it comes to leading others because of all the stories you heard when you were a child about your parents' experiences as potentially a W-2 employee, right? Somebody where they were being led and they had bosses, and there are so many things that carry on with us that stop us from actually living out like our true selves.
Well, and you have to remember too, when your parents were telling a story about their bosses or the people they worked with, it was laced with their own emotional competency. And so it is an altered story. You don't have both sides, but we take that emotional competency and we hold on to it. And so that's another reason why becoming more emotionally aware on who you are versus who everybody else is makes a huge difference, because then you can look at situations as face value as opposed to laced with emotions.
Any other questions? Any questions from our chat? And James, how much money are we giving away today? I don't even think I said anything about that.
We are giving away $400 tonight.
$400, 4 names out of the digital canasta. You know, I had a dream that James Taylor won twice in a row. Yeah. So if that happens, it's not going to happen.
It's not going to happen.
No. If it happens, you get it. We're going to give it to you.
Yay!
So just because we know that his name wasn't in there for a year, as he says. So we could talk about the crab story, and then we'll draw names. Yes, I like this story. This is a good story.
So for whatever reason, since I started speaking on what I speak on, I relate it to animals, and why this will become apparent and why it's important to sales. So does anybody here watch Deadliest Catch? We love it in our household. It is Calvin's favorite show, talking about you, buddy. We call it Boat Show, and we love it.
Boat show.
Boat Show.
They're about to die in the ocean. We call it Boat Show.
We call it Boat Show, and it's relaxing. But the thing that people don't notice is that in these gigantic crab cages, there's a hole. But it's not like a revolving door. It's just a gigantic hole. And if you watch the show, they follow migrations because crabs are migratory creatures. And they drop these cages in the migration, and the crabs walk in, and then they pull them up, and we get to eat very, very well. King crab is my favorite thing on the planet. Why are they able to catch these crabs, though? Does anybody know? With no revolving door, They don't exit. So with them being migratory creatures, they walk into the hole, all of a sudden like, oh, we're all safe. And then they all start piling in, and they're safer together. And so if you watch the show, every now and then you see crabs trying to get out, and the other crabs are pulling them down. Why? Because they are safer together. We live in a crab society. But our crab society is negativity. You are safer if you are negative. If you are positive, you are a number one target. The positive people are the crabs that are they found a way out. They see it, and they're on their way up, and the negative people pull them back down. Similar to what we were talking about. You talk to somebody and you say like a negative thing, and they're like, here we go in a negative spiral.
Negative spiral. They're so crabby.
They're so crabby.
They're so crabby.
And you'll start
Makes
seeing
so much sense.
You'll start seeing people when they're like really negative spiraling, and you're gonna be like, oh my God, it's a gigantic king crab. I wish you would shut up. Stop. In order to be successful in sales, you have to be part of the very low percentage that is willing to go off on their own and see things differently, be positive, see that there is an exit and a light out, and follow it. People think I am crazy, but I am also the most attractive person in the room because I am filled with joy and abundance and prosperity, and I don't think negatively, and I think positively all the time. I am part of the crowd that is pulling others, like trying to get them out. We're not safer together. We're not safe in the negativity. We are actually more abundant and safe in the prosperity. So the next time somebody tries to bring you down into a negativity spiral, or you try to do it to yourself, just think, I'm safer if I keep going. Because down here, you've already seen what happens to them. It's not as fun.
Nobody wants this crab mentality. That's what they're saying in the chat. So release the crab mentality.
Release the crab
Be
mentality.
the crazy. Don't be the crab. I like it.
Yeah.
I think it's a good motto for you.
I think so.
I know.
I mean,
I'll be
it
the
fits.
crazy. I'll be the crazy. It fits. All right. I know. You're on fire tonight. Thank you
thank
so
you.
much. And I
Thank
love
you.
it. And again, I thought this was really appropriate because so much of our self-discovery is necessary in order for us to be able to deliver and really serve people at a higher level, right? Like if you can't work on yourself and you can't get yourself right, you can't serve at the level that actually provides solutions for people in the way that they need them. And so when it comes to sales, we can teach you all the tactics, we can teach you all the scripts, we can teach you all the words, we can teach you all the things, but if you're not sitting right with who you are, you're going to have a very difficult time. And so again, self-assessment, self-discovery, looking at what those limiting beliefs are, looking at those generational traumas, and just beginning to ask questions will do so much good. And ultimately, it will change the trajectory of your life.
Amen.
That's right.
Amen. Preach
Should we
it,
give away
girlfriend.
some money?
Yeah.
All right. Let's give away some money. Can you get us to the
All
digital canasta?
Yes, we've got the digital canasta with all of the BDC members and BYS Book Yourself Solid members ready to go. All right.
All right.
$400 on the
Gang, gang.
line. Name number one.
$400. Go. Loud today.
It
I
is
feel like I'm in the game.
Jeffrey Zimmer. Jeffrey Zimmer.
Jeffrey.
Oh, I couldn't even see it on here. I'm way delayed, James. You're going to have to handle this.
I got you.
You got me? 'Cause
Jeffrey Zimmer. 20 seconds left.
Come on, Jeffrey. There's people on here that want to win. Like, really want to win. There's people here that really want to win.
know,
What am I
right?
talking about? There's people right in front of me that really want to win. There's somebody next to me that really wants to win. Everybody wants to win.
James just goes, Tamika knows fake names too.
Jeffrey. We all know fake names.
No fake names. Oh,
Oh,
Jeffrey.
Jeffrey.
I hate that for you. I hate that journey for you, bud.
You know what, though? It could be just a lesson that he has to learn again, right?
Show up.
Show up, right? Exactly. All right, we got 3 more names, James.
All right, here we go with name number 2. So loud.
I feel like I'm back at Vegas.
All right, Kerrigan Call. Kerrigan Call.
Kerrigan
Call.
Kerrigan.
Kerrigan
Oh.
Call. That,
Very
that
Scottish.
looks like it could be a fake name.
It does.
It does look like it could be Kerrigan Call. And it's 2 Ks. Kerrigan with a K.
Call with a K. Scottish. Very Scottish.
Yes. Kerrigan. Kerrigan's very, yeah. Like Kerry Gold butter.
Yeah.
What? It's my favorite, though.
Oh,
Rhymes
moment
with
of-
money for Paul. Paul wants to win.
Oh, Kerrigan.
Aw.
no Kerrigan.
I hate that journey for you, bud.
I know. But actually, I like that journey
Yeah.
because it shows that the universe is really trying to pay you back.
it is.
Perspective shift.
You got to show up.
Yeah, you got to show up. So you keep show up somewhere and you're going to make
Some money.
That's right.
Always.
Who else is on there about to make some money?
We got 2 more names. Here
2
we go.
more names.
Give
Name number
Let's go.
3.
Somebody in the room has to win.
I know. This is like the ultimate show up right
Yeah.
here. That would be amazing.
Steve Chafe.
Perry. What?
Chafe.
Steve
Chafe.
Chafe. Is that what you said?
Chafe.
Shafe.
Shape. Steve.
Chafe. Chafe. Chafe.
Canceled.
Chafe.
I
Shafe.
apologize.
Steve Chafe.
Chafe.
Steve Chafe.
Steve. Where are you, bud?
Steve. Oh, I thought that was Steve. That's not Steve. No, Steve.
Everyone's talking about my kid.
I know. Did you all say
Chafe.
Chafe? You
Chafe.
did. It could absolutely
All right.
be Chafe.
The last one's somebody in the room. If
All right.
it's me, y'all, I'm gonna lose my mind.
This will
James.
be.
That's literally what JT said before he won.
Oh yeah.
There you go.
We're master manifestors, though. So
All right, manifest. Go.
Here we go.
I just think it's gonna be somebody in the room.
Cheyenne Broman.
Oh, that is a real
Cheyenne.
name for
it?
James Taylor. I very much
Cheyenne.
know Cheyenne Broman. Before he gets on his horse and says, fake name, Cheyenne Broman. Cheyenne. Ooh,
Cheyenne,
from Green Bay. See?
She's
Real
from Green Bay.
name. Real
Holla.
name.
Wisco Love in the house.
Green Bay C3. She's a C3 member. Good job, Cheyenne. I really wish we could have paid for your C3 membership.
Yeah.
Keep showing up. Is that 4 names?
That's 4
That's
names.
4
I hate that
names.
for everybody.
Oh, man. Now the pot's up to $500
Oh.
next week. $500. But you know what? You're going to win way more money this week by being
in the room.
sales revenue profit. I guarantee it with all the stuff that we've got going on. So, all right, next week we're going to be giving away $500 and I might have my co-host back. I don't know. I really like
Oh, this
hanging
is
out
fun.
with you.
This is great.
I
fly
mean,
to
I like
Naples.
hanging out with Sean too, but
yeah.
I really like hanging out with you.
I
So
like hanging out with
thanks
you.
for sharing your knowledge and your heart and all of your information. So if anybody wants to reach out to Mika to ask her all the hard questions, please do.
Yeah.
We love and appreciate you.